My beloved child. Before you continue listening, remember this is not a story about wealth, fame, or the clothes you wear. This is about the invisible value that follows you wherever you go. Someone has been speaking about your status in places you have never entered. Conversations have happened behind closed doors. Your name has appeared when you were not present. Some expected those words to reduce your worth. Others believed your life could be described with a single sentence. But they were all missing one truth. The person who speaks the loudest rarely knows the deepest story. Every rumor has a beginning. Every opinion has a source. Yet not every source carries the truth. What happened next surprised even the people who started the conversation. A single unexpected moment changed the direction of every whisper. The question is not who was talking. The real question is why your name refused to disappear from every discussion. There was a room filled with confident voices. Each person believed they already understood your life. One said you lived with very little. Another claimed you were simply pretending to stay hopeful. A third insisted your future had already been decided. They spoke as if they had read every chapter of your journey. Yet none of them had seen the nights when you chose patience instead of anger. None had witnessed the quiet decisions that shaped your character. They judged your visible situation while ignoring your invisible strength. Then someone who had watched from a distance finally spoke. The room became silent. That voice did not defend your possessions. It defended your perseverance. It reminded everyone that a person's true status is measured by integrity, kindness, and courage when nobody is watching. Suddenly the conversation changed. The certainty disappeared. Doubt entered every mind. For the first time, people realized they had built an opinion without knowing the complete picture. Meanwhile, something even more unexpected was happening. The people who underestimated you began noticing small changes they could not explain. Doors that once remained closed slowly opened. Opportunities appeared where no one expected them. Respect started replacing criticism. Those who had repeated careless words quietly stopped repeating them. They noticed that your calm response carried more power than endless arguments. The louder others became, the quieter your confidence remained. That silence confused everyone. They expected frustration. They expected you to chase approval. Instead, you continued moving forward without asking anyone to change their opinion. That decision became the greatest surprise of all. The strongest people are not those who win every conversation. They are the ones who refuse to let every conversation define their future. And somewhere, someone watching all of this finally understood the difference. Yet the story was far from over. Hidden behind those conversations was one individual carrying a completely different perspective. This person had listened to every opinion without speaking a single word. They noticed details everyone else ignored. They remembered your honesty when no reward was promised. They remembered your generosity when nobody was keeping score. They remembered your patience during difficult seasons. While others focused on appearances, this silent observer focused on actions. Then came the day when everyone expected another negative remark. Instead, the silent observer stood up and shared a truth that no one could deny. Faces changed. Expressions softened. The room that had once echoed with judgment now echoed with reflection. Some lowered their eyes. Others questioned their own assumptions. A few even wondered how they had misunderstood you for so long. The atmosphere shifted in a way nobody had predicted. And just when it seemed the mystery had reached its conclusion, another revelation quietly appeared. The conversations about your status were never the real destination. They were only the beginning of something much greater. Every opinion spoken about you was unknowingly preparing people to witness a transformation they never expected. Those who looked only at your present could not imagine what your future would reveal. The next chapter would uncover why certain doors remained closed, why certain people walked away, and why unexpected opportunities were moving toward you at the perfect time. The answer has already begun to unfold. But the most surprising truth has not yet been revealed. It is waiting just beyond this moment, where everything people believed about your status is about to be challenged in a way no one will forget. Some people repeated old opinions without asking whether they were true. Others quietly listened, searching for a reason to believe something better. Then an unexpected question entered every discussion. What if we have misunderstood this person from the very beginning? That single question changed everything. The people who once spoke with complete confidence suddenly became uncertain. They began remembering moments they had ignored. Small acts of honesty. Quiet kindness. The strength you showed when nobody offered applause. Piece by piece, the picture they had created started to fall apart. They realized they had judged a season instead of a lifetime. They had measured visible circumstances while overlooking invisible character. And once that realization appeared, it became impossible to silence. Far away from those conversations, your journey continued without knowing what was unfolding behind the scenes. You kept taking ordinary steps while extraordinary changes quietly gathered around you. Every challenge had taught you something that comfort never could. Every disappointment had strengthened a part of you that success alone would never have reached. The people watching from a distance slowly noticed that your peace could not be borrowed or stolen. It came from within. That quiet confidence became the greatest mystery of all. They expected you to seek approval. Instead, you chose purpose. They expected you to answer every opinion. Instead, you answered with consistency. The more they observed, the more difficult it became to fit you into the old story they had been telling. Then came the moment nobody expected. A respected voice entered the conversation. This person was known for speaking carefully and judging fairly. The room instantly became silent. Everyone waited to hear another opinion. Instead, they heard a challenge. Before you describe someone else's status, ask yourself whether you have seen their entire journey. Those words settled deeply into every heart. No one answered immediately. Some remembered times when they themselves had been misunderstood. Others realized they had accepted rumors without seeking truth. The atmosphere completely changed. Judgment slowly gave way to reflection. Curiosity replaced certainty. For the first time, your story was no longer controlled by assumptions. It was being viewed through understanding. Meanwhile, something remarkable was happening inside you. Without realizing it, every difficult chapter had been preparing you for this exact season. The patience you practiced during lonely moments became your greatest strength. The humility you carried during uncertain days became your greatest honor. The hope you protected when nothing seemed to change became your greatest victory. Those qualities could never be purchased or borrowed. They were built through experience. And now, even the people who once doubted you were beginning to recognize them. They could not explain why your presence felt different. They simply knew that the image they had created no longer matched reality. Their conversations changed because your life quietly gave them a new reason to think differently. But one final mystery remained unsolved. Among all the people discussing your status, there was still one person who had never spoken a single sentence. They had listened from the beginning. They had watched every misunderstanding unfold. And they were waiting for the perfect moment to reveal something that would connect every missing piece together. What they knew had the power to change every opinion at once. The silence surrounding that secret would not last much longer. When the truth finally comes into the open, people will understand that your real status was never defined by what others said. It was being written by the choices you made when nobody was watching. And that revelation is closer than anyone realizes. Everything seemed quiet on the surface, yet beneath that silence a remarkable change was already taking shape. The conversations that once centered on assumptions began turning into conversations filled with questions. People who had confidently described your status were now searching for answers they had never cared to find before. They wondered why every prediction they made about your future had failed. They wondered why your calm spirit remained unshaken despite every misunderstanding. Slowly, they realized they had focused on temporary circumstances instead of lasting character. That discovery was impossible to ignore. Every passing day made it clearer that your life could not be explained by appearances alone. Something deeper was guiding your journey, and everyone was beginning to notice it. Among those who had spoken about you, one person carried a quiet sense of regret. They remembered every careless sentence they had repeated. They remembered every moment they chose assumption over understanding. The more they reflected, the heavier those memories became. They started paying closer attention to your actions instead of listening to other voices. What they found surprised them completely. They saw consistency where they had expected pretense. They saw patience where they had expected frustration. They saw kindness offered without expecting anything in return. For the first time, they understood that true status is revealed through character, not through the opinions of a crowd. That realization became the turning point they never expected. As those changes unfolded, another unexpected moment quietly arrived. People who had never spoken to you directly began defending your name when it appeared in conversations. They were no longer repeating old stories. They were sharing what they had personally observed. They spoke about your honesty. They spoke about your determination. They spoke about the quiet strength that remained even during difficult seasons. Little by little, the narrative changed. The same places where doubt once spread became places where respect quietly grew. No announcement marked the change. No dramatic event forced it to happen. It happened because truth has a way of revealing itself over time, even when no one expects it. Yet the greatest surprise had still not appeared. Hidden within all these changing conversations was one final piece that connected everything together. Someone who had remained silent from the beginning finally decided the moment had come to speak. This person had witnessed your journey from a perspective no one else had. They knew the struggles you never shared. They knew the sacrifices nobody noticed. They knew the quiet victories that happened long before anyone offered recognition. When they finally spoke, every sentence carried weight. Every word answered a question that had remained unanswered for far too long. The room grew still. No one interrupted. No one argued. They simply listened. And as the silence settled, one truth became impossible to deny. Your real status had never been determined by rumors, appearances, or public opinion. It had been shaped by every honest choice, every patient step, and every act of integrity that no audience ever applauded. Those who once believed they understood your story now realized they had only seen a single page of a much greater journey. But even now, another chapter is waiting to unfold. A revelation is approaching that will explain why every misunderstanding happened exactly when it did, and why the next season of your story will leave even the strongest doubters speechless.